made you wrong.
Football Feast.
Shall we begin?
Holy Toledo! I knew we was going to beat them clowns.
Oh, no! Oh, well.
Pass. Been waiting to make some noise here so far. Here's Hill making more noise. Another touchdown, you bet! 45 yards. You've done your job.
All with time. Has a man open. The touchdown. First and goal. Hall, short drop, looks left, throws left, caught. Touchdown! Abram Smith. A 5-yard touchdown. Abram Smith's first touchdown wearing the colors, and the Vikings have exploded to a 13-0 lead.
Johnny come lately, the new kid in town. Everybody loves you, so don't let them down.
As Hall rolls out to the right, throws right. Jalen Rager at about the 10-yard line. It's a gain of 14, and this very impressive opening drive for the Minnesota Vikings has them down at the 10-yard line, so it's first and goal.
We all saw how comfortable he was getting outside the pocket. That is impressive. I think that's the most comfortable he's looked, where he can actually scan and look for the potential receiver down the field. But the thing I liked the most was the 16-yard pass to Nick Muse over the middle. If you look, he looks to his left, then he snaps back and looks to right. It's a little nuanced thing that quarterbacks must do.
The new kid in town.
Hall's going to take off. All kinds of real estate. First down. On first down, Hall's going to take off into ECU territory to the edge. That's a first down. Hall ushered out inside the 30. Jaron Hall with an empty backfield. Going to fade one right, caught to the 35-30. Angles to the left and is taken down inside the 20. Alexander Madison with a long catch and run, 49 yards. First down for the Vikings. Hall shotgun, 3 receiver left, 2 right. Takes the snap. 4-man rush. Hall steps up, looking to run. Pedal to the metal. Leap for the end zone, and he came up short. He got smacked at the goal line. Jaron Hall slow to get up, and many members of the Vikings training staff have come out on the field to chat with the quarterback who used to be the backup, but now he's the starter.
Which side you on?
What's going on here? SRO at Buffalo Wild Wings, Plymouth, and we welcome you to the 9 to noon KFAN Friday football. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Paul Allen. Paul Charchian is the co-host. Here is Jared Wells, the master mixer, ladies and gentlemen. He's J-Dub, and the street team is in and amongst Rube Nation here at Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth for the Friday Football Feast. And a couple of 7 and 8 teams get together at US Bank Stadium this weekend for Sunday Night Football. It's the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. We got a lot of purple and gold. We got a lot of green and gold in here for these 7 and 8 teams. And really, and I think from a fan standpoint, given a majority of you have either lived here all of your lives or focused on the border battle all of your lives, I mean, really, no matter the record, the border battle between the Vikings and the Green Bay Packers always is fun, at least for me. And somebody who would know more about that than us is somebody who played in 20 of them. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get a witness and a raucous round of applause for one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the Minnesota Vikings? Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Greenway.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
20. He played in 20 border battles.
Don't give my record. Don't do it.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I don't want to think about it.
Well, maybe it's a winning record.
Nope, it's not. 6 and 14, maybe.
Cover your ears.
8 and 12, 6 and 14.
6,
No.
13,
And
1. That's okay.
Forgot about that one.
Well, right. I mean, but you outside of a couple of ancillary games, maybe one, you hooked a Hall of Famer and a Hall of Famer to be pretty much every single time except for 2013. Now, there was a border battle when I went deep diving Chad Greenway's Pro Football Reference game logs and like what he did against Green Bay and stuff like that. Chad had some really, really good games against Green Bay. He, of course, was part of that 09 Vikings immortality type team that swept Green Bay.
Yeah.
Brett Favre, Monday Night Football, first time taking on the Pack at Metrodome, Twins going to the playoffs. I mean, Greenway's like knocking Aaron Rodgers out of bounds, then high-fiving with Joe Nathan. And he's defending a pass back left of the end zone. It's like, hey, you're Denard Span. High-fiving with Denard Span. And then at Lambeau Field, when Favre and Longwell ran out of the tunnel, and all the speculation that week had been how loudly and vociferously are they going to boo and disrespect Brett Favre, and it actually was the exact opposite. I mean, he got a massive, massive ovation, and those in the land of milk and honey were incredibly kind to Brett Favre, and the Vikings went on to win that game. So those are some of the more memorable moments. And then we get to 2013, all right? November of 2013 at Lambeau Field. That is a game in which Chad Greenway played, where he played the most snaps in a game you ever played in your National Football League life.
All right.
And I forgot about it.
Is this the overtime?
Overtime.
Yeah.
94 snaps.
Oh, wow.
You played 94 snaps in a game that ended up 26-26. Now, there were 5 players for the Vikings in that game who also played 100% of the snaps. They were Chad Greenway, Audie Cole, Chris Cook, Andrew Sendejo, and Jamarcus Samper. Jared Allen, who is an HOF finalist. Hey!
Yep. Do that.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and put him in.
Well, 88. So he played 88 of the 94 snaps.
Soft.
And so the game ends 26-26. Let me ask you this. Green Bay that day, that November day at Lambeau Field, they used 2 quarterbacks in that game. Can you remember who they were?
Well, Flynn was one for sure.
Matt Flynn or Flat Men.
The Wisconsin Badger guy.
Boom.
Tolzien.
He scored the first touchdown of the game. Scott Tolzien.
Wow, well done.
We tied.
Yeah.
You couldn't beat those guys.
Way to go.
Well, they get a field goal early in overtime. You guys go on like this 7-minute grinded out drive trying to win the game, and you settled for a Blair Walsh field goal, and the game ended in a tie. But still,
you give your uncle a handshake on the way out of the family dinner. That's what it felt like after that game. It's like, all right, we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
we're all getting cut. So.
But that's I would imagine that you didn't play in the next example, but that I would imagine that tie is a dramatically different response at the end of the game than 2018. When Las Vegas Raiders immortality-like kicker Dan Carlson kept missing all these kicks in overtime, and that thing ended in a tie. So it's like, Zim wanted to make Carlson walk back to the Twin Cities. That's how frustrated it felt he was after the game. But there was a lot of vitriol after that one. After that, like playing 94 snaps in a game. Can you even remember what you felt like after that game?
Yeah, you get through an NFL game. And good morning. I almost missed that one. Good morning, Plymouth. By the way, home game. Charch, we talk about this every year. We're in Plymouth. We get a home game today.
Home field advantage
right now. Less than 10 minutes to get here. Love that.
Love it.
And Plymouth always shows out. I mean, look at this crowd. We're deep at the bar.
Standing room only.
Yeah.
These are
way to go.
right here.
That's
There's
nice.
Too much green and gold, but that's what makes it great, right? You want to beat your neighbor.
That's all right.
And that's what we're doing here
today.
today.
But you know what? My man right there with the cheese head, and I hope I'm not getting this wrong, Christian here wearing the in the wheelchair, wearing the Cousins 8, dear friend of mine. He snapped a picture and sent it to me this morning. So you know what, Vikings fans, we got to put the shoe size contest to the side. My man over here drove up from Iowa for the Friday football feast.
Hawks.
All right,
might as well.
I got you right here, man. Thank you. Yeah, you got now that 0 on that Jordan Love 10. I mean, with all due respect, is about ready to be knocked off in a couple of days. But that's okay. We can talk about that later. We're 7-8. There's not really much trash to talk.
Exactly.
And good morning. And you were saying?
And good morning. Well, I think when you look at an NFL game, you come out of that game usually playing 50 to 60 snaps.
60,
Pretty typical. I mean, obviously, the hardest position to play is running back receiver to get hit by a defender all the time. But when you play that many snaps, 94, you got to think at least you're getting 40 to 50 run plays over the course of that game. In that game, especially with those quarterbacks, probably that I have no idea what the stats were, but you're taking on a block, you're making a tackle, you're getting the hit. But we're moving forward and we're usually inflicting the damage, so it's a little bit easier because we're braced and ready. But you get to that length of a game, and it's the physical grind, the dehydration.
Bro, 94 snaps.
You wake up the next morning and you're just absolutely just spent, and then everything hurts. So kind of like it all hurts, so it doesn't hurt that bad. If that makes sense.
Are you tackling as hard in overtime as you were in the first quarter?
Probably not. I'm sure I missed several.
The little extra oomph might not be there on your 93rd play.
Well, the idea that like a big running back gets better in the fourth quarter if you can kind of position his runs throughout the game, because defenders get wore down. You're taking on big guys at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes you're taking on double teams. You're getting off. You're running. Then you're in coverage the next play. You're running 40 yards to go cover a tight end. Then next play you're going to take on the guard and get off and make a block or make a tackle. So you just get wore down. The structure of the game is meant for that. And if you can, strategize your backs well enough and keep that big guy healthy at the fourth quarter, that's why it matters so much.
So you're playing, nearing the end of your career, or maybe even around that time, like Chad Clifton and Mark Tauscher, Corey Lindsley.
Yep. Lindsley.
Yeah, he's still playing
with the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
David Bakhtiari. Yep. So I mean, there were some Elton Jenkins maybe right when he got in. I think that might have been a little after he left, but nevertheless, those were some really, really immortality like Green Bay Packers offensive lines. And I mean, trash talking aside and everything into this border battle this weekend, I think Brian O'Neill will return for the Vikings. So you're going to have Darisaw over to O'Neill, and they've done some good work at times this season. But this iteration of the Green Bay Packers offensive line with you got an inexperienced guy at left tackle, Zach Tom at right tackle. They rotate their right guard. I mean, it's a 50-50 rotation. Yeah. John Runyon and Sean Ryan, they're a little down on their center. Myers. Jenkins is hurt. I think he missed 2 days of practice. This is just one of the more topsy-turvy, uncertain Green Bay Packers offensive lines that I can remember, and I think it's going to factor into the game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this time of year, stability at the offensive line, we've even seen with our own line, right? Getting O'Neill back is huge. You get the stability across the front. The reason Kirk was playing the best football of his career was because he was upright and had time and could look down the field, and he's accurate and he knows where to go with the football. So, we can, Kirk would say that exact same thing. The reason I was playing at that level was because of my protection and the system and the position I was put in. But stability of that position is massive. You get to this time of year when you need to get a quarterback like Love time to survey, look down the field, find the right play, especially with the pressure we're going to be sending at him. We're going to be sending him all sorts of different looks, because when you have to think about what am I going to get? Yeah. Okay, they're showing me a pressure now. They give me something else. Now I got to, what's my read now based off of that look? And it's all happening so fast. And all of a sudden you get hit in the side of the head. It's like that clock has to move quick. And if you don't have that structure in front of you, it makes it really, really hard, especially for these younger quarterbacks that aren't as experienced to know what's coming at them. So that's why Flores, I like the defense that he's calling this time of year, especially this week leading up to this game, because we know the inexperienced offensive line and just the people that we've seen.
Yeah, go challenge him.
Absolutely.
That's what makes this Kirk injury so bitter for me.
Yeah.
We've been waiting his entire career for him to have just adequate blocking, like NFL average blocking and an NFL average
and
defense.
He's been healthy nearly his entire career.
Right. Here he's healthy his whole career, never missed a game due to injury. And then we finally get him an offensive line requisite of his talents and a top 10 defense, and he goes down with the season ender. Ugh.
Yeah, I think it's funny when you talk about the offensive line play, when you mention all those guys, you mentioned a guy like Bakhtiari. What makes those guys, Trent Williams out in San Francisco, what makes them so good is you got to think they're 6'5" to 6'6", 320 pounds, but they're athletic.
Yeah.
These are not earth movers. These guys are strong, and
like
but they're so athletic, and they can get on you so fast. Plus, they're bigger than you, and you're giving up 80 pounds. and they're stronger than you, and everything else.
They're as fast as you are.
So the technique and the leverage, you take one half step the wrong direction, one false step, you read the quarterback instead of the running backs, whatever you see with your eyes, and you're just a little bit behind, you lose that leverage on that big guy, and then it's just done. Like, that's why an athletic offensive lineman that's even a little bit lighter, to me, is just such a challenge because they can get on you so quick and the game is so fast. Now you have to get off, engage, block, and make the tackle, right? When that athletic guy can stay with you, it's a challenge with those guys.
This is effectively a must-win game for the Vikings. Mathematically, if they lose here, it's all but over. If they win, they continue to control their own destiny.
Yep.
Tell me what it's like from inside, inside the front office and as a player when you've got that kind of situation, which you must have had at various times over the course of your career. It's a week 16 or a week 17, and you have to win or the season's effectively over. Does it change how you feel going into the game, how you prepare? Are the emotions different? Anything different in that scenario?
I just think you have a group of guys that are locked in. I think the one thing you look about this season is the ups and downs we've seen throughout the season really have been unbelievable. And this team is built for this now.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get to week 16, the ups, with 0-3 start, we get hot. Then the quarterback issues, and we're bouncing all over these quarterbacks, and we don't get any stability really, but we're still finding a way to be in the game and be in the match. It's like, okay, well, can we find a way to get one more? So I don't think the locker room is panicked. I think they're locked in and focused. I think they know what's in front of them, and they're built for this now. They've literally seen everything this season.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of stuff thrown at them. I think O'Neal coming back, you mentioned it, is a really massive play for this football team. So I really like our chances this week. I really do. I think when you get Hall in there as a quarterback, I don't love that we're making the change, but how do you not give the kid a chance? At the end of the day, we're going to the offseason where we have to understand what we have in Hall going forward. You have to see it. You have to give him some real time over these next 2 weeks.
And thus, 9 to noon, buried the lead in the A topic. We got Nordo starting with new kid in town. It's Jaron Hall. The BYU rookie gets his second start, first at home. And you know what? In patented football feast, love covenant-like fashion, let's just give a round of applause for Jaron Hall making it this far, getting a start in front of 60-some-odd thousand in a standalone game on Sunday Night Football, because that's where careers are made. And that's also, at least the start of where careers can be made. And it's also the start of where careers can be foiled. So I'm excited. I was kind of lukewarm on this border battle, quite honestly, off the loss to the Lions. A little pissed off at the way that thing ended after you watch that final play, that final Mullins interception.
Yeah,
and just to lament, what Paul Charchian said, guillotineleagues.com, is if you watch back that final Nick Mullins interception, is Cousins hits Jefferson in stride at about the 20, and he walks into the end zone. And after a crap game where we're giving the ball away and losing significant players play after play, the Vikings would have won. I mean, it's just so freaking frustrating seeing how that thing ended like that. You got Brandon Powell over on the left, basically doing jumping jacks, begging for the ball. I mean, I felt bad for Brandon. My man wore gold gloves for that game, strictly maybe for that moment to be like, I know you're new, it's like your 18th start, but I'm wearing these gloves just in case you can't see me and I'm diminutive.
Yeah.
And he didn't see him, but it was the Jefferson piece where you just know Cousins closes on that and you beat somebody. So here comes Jaron Hall. And at least for me, I can't speak for the fan base, but it has provided an infusion of excitement. It's a border battle. It's a new quarterback, and it's a big opportunity for this rookie. I can't wait to watch him play.
I think you watch Mullins play, and I think you nailed it. That's the biggest issue is you look at the turnovers and where they're coming from, but it's the missed opportunities.
Yep. Yeah.
The interception was kind of that flag route early in the, I think it was the first half. He just misses two other wide receivers because he's not getting to the second and third read, just forcing the ball down the field because he's a little bit panicked. But then at times he's waiting in the pocket way too long and needs to get out and go find some space. So you look at all those decisions, you'd be like, you got to give this young kid an opportunity because it's what's best for our football team right now. Because I don't think any fan base wants to sit and watch Dobbs did what he did those last two games and just have an anemic offense into Mullins doing what he's doing. I want to talk real quick, though.
Yeah.
I think it was first half. Lions have a drive. Patrick Jones gets that personal foul on like a 2nd and 21. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk a little bit about how, the referees, I don't play anymore. I can talk about the referees being,
all you want
being
now.
absolutely terrible. Like, the outcome of these games are affected by these late hits on quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That was not a penalty.
No way.
It should have been 3rd and 21.
Yep.
We get off the field. It's our ball. Instead, they go down and score a touchdown, and it gets upside down the score. Now, again, that happens in every game, but the way they protect some quarterbacks and not others, to me, is just ridiculous. And why can't we review that? That's a 15-second review from New York that comes right down into their ear that says, no, we need to pull that flag, because that affects the outcome of the game. I don't care what anybody says. You can cry about the refs all you want.
Right.
But when it goes to directly affecting points, and it's a clear miss.
Yeah. How about any penalty that's 15 yards or more is automatically eligible for review?
With the technology, we're quick enough to get this thing done quick. Where viewers aren't sitting there forever waiting for this dang review. It can happen fast. But Patrick Jones didn't touch his head at all.
Yeah.
He didn't dip. He didn't do anything egregious. He didn't throw him to the ground. But it's a 2nd and 21 where defensively you worked the whole drive to get to that position to get off the field. Automatic first down, and you lose all the leverage. They go score a touchdown, and the game just completely flips on that play.
Well,
again, you can't blame the refs. I get that, but that's the outcome of the game.
Yeah. Now, Land Clark was the referee, and we also had Land Clark in the game against the LA Chargers, and it's nothing against. They don't have anything against the Minnesota Vikings. It's just happenstance that there also were some dicey ones in that one too that just didn't seem to go the right way.
Don't bring up Dobbs in Denver.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about
right.
That's another win.
That Kareem Jackson hit was a game changer
that he got suspended for.
Right. And ultimately kicked off the team.
We throw the interception. They pull the flag.
Yeah.
Right.
We lose the football game by 3?
They have Clay Martin this weekend, and just in the ones that I've seen this season, either here or somewhere else, Clay Martin and Bill Vinovich, that they're head and shoulders above the rest.
Vinovich is really good,
at least for my taste. It's because of how they work with the coaches too. When they know they're wrong, look, because you can't say, Rob, I know I'm wrong. I got you in the 4th quarter. You can't do that.
No.
Can't look up at the big screen. That was a problem on the play you're talking about, is they kept showing it over and over and over at US Bank Stadium. And if officials look at the screen, pick up a flag, or change something, they're reprimanded.
100%.
I mean, they might be fired. I mean, you can't do that. So that was a problem, and the stadium started to get all agitated.
Well, the Kareem Jackson hit should have been reviewed as well. Like, why isn't that a reviewable play in that instance? So you look at it like, clearly egregious, clearly a foul, clearly a first down. We go score and win the football game without question, in my opinion.
But with Jaron Hall, all right, paraphrasing the way the co-host Paul Charchian put it in his Tolstoy of notes that he provides weekly, it made me laugh when I read it this morning. What if Jaron Hall's really good? Or it's like really how it impacts the offseason.
Yeah.
And I was just reading it thinking Paul Charchian's voice when he gets super excited, like, what if the kid from BYU's unbelievable and slings it all over the yard? Then maybe we say bye to Cousins and we don't have to trade up for Caleb Williams. Hey!
Yeah.
The co-host, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
If only for being ever excitable.
Joe Barry is so bad at his job.
Yeah.
There's a chance Jaron Hall's going to come out of this game looking real good. And then Lions next week.
Yeah.
And then you got to decide if Hall puts together 2 games of great play, now what do you do? Do you dare believe the 2 games?
Well, Dobbs gave us 2 good games, and what happened after that?
Well,
so you can't do anything. You can't just live and breathe in this league on 2 games. You can't make a career. You can't pay a guy, and
Matt
you also
Flynn
can't.
did it.
What a season,
But
man.
you also can't. You can't lean into the next 5 years of your organization on 2 games. You just can't do it. Now, it would give him and put him in the running, and it may change a little bit of your decision making moving forward, and that's all going to depend on what Kirk's going to do and where he's at. But to your point is, when they went with Mullins, were you surprised?
No.
See, I was surprised because I thought Jaron gave us enough in that Atlanta game to at least get him an opportunity to get the football when Dobbs clearly didn't deserve it anymore.
But in the at times antiquated, archaic world of the NFL from a thought process standpoint, you know better than anybody, man. 9.6 out of 10 times. They're going to go with the one that they feel has more experience, would be more calm in certain situations.
How can I keep my job?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just the whole.
This coach scared a lot.
Well, the whole thing's been a freaking conundrum. Seriously. I mean, the 49ers might win the Super Bowl. All right. I know they didn't have Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. Your quarterback, Kirk Cousins, chewed them up. And they were completely healthy on defense. So we had that. Here we go. And then we got the Achilles. All right. And in comes the kid. Now goes the kid with the concussion. It's radio. Nobody can see you. How many after Josh Dobbs' first 2 games? Dobbs' delirium at Atlanta and then the home win against New Orleans. How many of you who genuinely care about Vikings football as a distraction in your lives started to think, this would be unbelievable if we were able to get a quarterback on a 3-year deal for like $32 million and how much money we'd be able to spend on so many. Yeah, me too. I mean, I was like thinking about it too, and I shouldn't have been, and I was. And then you go to Mullins. Yeah, he throws for more than 700 yards in 2 games. 700 yards in 2 games. Now he's yanked. And here comes the kid. The coronation of a Cougar could take place on Sunday Night Football. But now he's home, so he's got the crowd on his side. They're going to give him a standing ovation when he rolls out there, or at least they're going to be super, super loud. I think that might have played into it a little bit too, because like if Mullins and the offense walk out there with all due respect to Nick, I mean, it's cool. Let's go. And then if he throws a pick, it's toxic in U.S. Bank Stadium. I'm telling you, if you throw a pick in the Sunday Night Football game against those guys, I don't care if you're 7-8, if you're 1-14, or if you're 14-1, they're going to get booed. With Jaron, it's going to be a raucous ovation when he comes in. If he throws a pick, he's a rookie.
Yeah, I think going with Jaron, I think this time of year with an offensive line that's been beat down, we've seen with O'Neal coming back, we will have more stability there, but what are we going to get out of the front is a guy that can, if he doesn't see option 1 or 2, he can't get to option 3, he can move himself out of the pocket and be an athlete.
Yeah.
And we see how many times that gives us issues, right? If you can cover up option 1 or 2, your pass rush either lets them leak out or can't get there, and now he can move out to space and hurt you. You see what Jalen Hurts is doing with his feet. I mean, it's a legitimate problem if you have a quarterback that can think the right way on when to do it, when to slide, be smart about it. We know Jaron's a really nice athlete. We know he's got great arm talent. It's going to come down to decision-making and coaching staff putting him in position to make simple decisions, and if it's not there, to be an athlete. And I think that's what you see with Dobbsy in the first 2 games was he was just reacting to being athletic. He didn't have the full gamut of the playbook. It was a simple game plan. I think Jaron will do well.
All right, time for one more. You get last word with 5-2.
I wish Jaron Hall were coming in a circumstance that wasn't, well, nobody else can start anymore. We can't go to Dobbs anymore. We can't go to Mullins. I wish the situation had been different, that Jaron Hall had just been so good in practice that we had, there was a mandate to get him in. I feel like we've just turned to him because we can't start the other guys. And that doesn't mean that he can't be good. I hope he's great. But it doesn't feel like everything that the coaches have seen since the moment they drafted him through mini camps, OTAs, training camp, regular season practices, one drive before he got knocked out. Yeah. It doesn't feel like there was anything internally that said, we got to get him on the field.
Yeah. That's why they went with Mullins, because, I mean, they can go to, at the time, 15 or 16 and be like, and I can't remember if O'Connell said it on X's and O's or off the microphone earlier in the week to me, but, it's what we've seen with Nick is who Nick always has been. I mean, he'll light you up for 400 and change, and he'll have a couple of TD passes where you're like, hey, but then all of a sudden you're falling on your backside and you're throwing it to B.J. Hill. That's like been the so there are no past performances with Jaron. Yeah. It's very difficult. Chad would know better than any of us, if not impossible, to get a backup ready, or a third quarterback ready during the course of the week when you're planning for another team. Yep. And so I wish him well, and I hope he lights him up, man. Anything new or big with Grey Duck into the 2024?
No, go to the Happy New Year. Just want to thank everybody for supporting Grey Duck, locally owned, Minnesota company. So many supporters out there, a lot of them right here in Plymouth. So we appreciate everybody and give you a huge year for 2020.
New Year's Eve libations, right?
New Year's Eve
Sunday
libations,
night.
all sorts of them.
Happy New Year, brother.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you. Go. Skull Bike.
Thanks to Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits. 20 border battles, man, and he made an impact. When 9 to noon continues, we execute and unfurl Vikes Bites, led by Nordo, the producer, Eric Nordquist, back at the 651 Carpets Plus studios with Paul Charchi, and I'm Paul Allen. Welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth, all of you. This is beautiful, and it's a very vivacious and energetic in here, and we thank you for listening to FM 100.3 KFAN. This is the Friday Football Feast on the Fan.
Without a care,
Wow, wasn't that fun?
Bullseye!
The Fan.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. We'll be doing Vikes Bites momentarily, but first, the last couple of weeks, we've done the featured fish contest on Fridays. The opportunity for you and a friend to get 2 nights lodging and a couple of days fishing at Ballard's Resort. BallardsResort.com for more intel. Today, we're doing it again. So you just keep track by listening to 9 to noon of the 3 featured fish throughout the show. I'll ask for a caller towards the end of this whole thing. Somebody's going to get 2 nights lodging, 2 days fishing at Ballard's Resort. The first fish. How about the blob fish? Blob fish. Courtesy of Ballard's Resort, ballardsresort.com. Stay tuned. 1 more fish each hour of the show.
The Uwe blob fish was the fish of the hour, or fish of the day. I didn't even know there was something called a blob fish.
Yeah, I had to look it up.
It can't be an attractive fish. You're called the blob fish. Uwe Blob was not an attractive man. Illinois Center, if I recall.
Illinois, really?
No, Indiana.
Indiana, yeah.
Indiana
Red
Center.
hair.
Is that right?
I think it was red hair.
Maybe.
Pasty.
That's a tough name.
The Uwe blob fish, says the Nords, who leads Vikes Bites each and every weekday about this time on the 9 to noon radio show. And Vikes Bites is provided by who?
It's Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply, northernfirebbq.com.
Did we lose Nords? Did we lose us?
Okay, well, we're having some technical difficulties back at Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth. We will start here with Vikes Bites presented by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply as we feverishly try to get PA and Charch back on said mic. Brian O'Neill expected to be back, which means potentially a fully intact offensive line. And looking forward to having Brian O'Neill back in the mix. Defending, protecting, keeping upright. Jaron Hall getting the start this weekend against the Green Bay Packers. And Jaron Hall needing that running attack for a team that handed the ball off about 11 times in the loss to the Detroit Lions. One conversation that we might get into next segment when hopefully we are rejoined by PA and Charch at Buffalo Wild Wings in Plymouth is the intentional nature of and the effort, the urgency behind running the ball. For the Minnesota Vikings at 7-8, in their victories, they average about 28 handoffs. In their losses, about 20, which puts them at about 24 attempts per game over the 2023 season. How much of Ty Chandler, how much of Alexander Madison will be necessary for the Vikings to win? And we are rejoined back in Plymouth. Gentlemen, sorry to lose you there momentarily.
Flashlight,
but I was going down
red light, green light, spatchcock.
I was going down the road of the run game.
I blame this whole thing on you.
I was going down the road of the run game. Okay, well, how about this? What we're going to do here is we're going to pause, and we are going to get our act together and maybe continue some Vikes Bites once we get the signal situation figured out. Vikes Bites presented by Northern Fire Grilling and Barbecue Supply. No signal issues at Northern Fire, just off Shady Oak, north of 62 in Minnetonka. NorthernFireBBQ.com. Head there now, and if you buy a grill or a smoker, say hey to Aaron, say hey to John, say hey to Brad, who will assemble it for you. You're going to get a $100 gift card as part of your grill or smoker purchase. So NorthernFireBBQ.com, 3 of my favorite people on the planet over there in Minnetonka. We're going to pause and check back in because it is a Friday football feast right here 9 to noon on The Fan.
On The Fan.
Football feast, Buffalo Wild Wings in Plymouth. Sadly, we are still experiencing some technical difficulties. Our best and brightest minds, we've shipped in engineers from all over the country to make sure that we can return connectivity and hopefully an absolute party apparently taking place. Standing room only, Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth with PA and Charch. Alec Lewis is going to be in the mix, all of that. But until we fix it, what I am going to do is play for you from Wednesday nights. X's and O's with head coach Kevin O'Connell. He spoke to PA about myriad topics, does it each and every week. It airs live on Wednesday evenings. You're home for Vikings football, The Fan. And it's the nearest thing at my fingertips at this particular juncture. So if you missed it then, we are going to replay it now. PA's conversation with Kevin O'Connell, post-Lions, pre-border battle. And they kick things off. PA's talking to him about DJ Wanham. It's just everything around that injury and his season ending with what he was doing. Man, it's just bad news. Feel for DJ.
Yeah, I don't know whether in me or what it is, but I just, when a player's in a contract year like that and you've seen them handle it the right way, do everything the right way, be the best possible teammate, work, do all the little things behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. But clearly Vikings fans and everyone at US Bank Stadium, including our team, coaching staff, you upstairs with the rest of the crew, are feeling that emotion in the moment, because it's not always just about stats. It's not always about the things in this day and age when statistics and fantasy football drive so much of the dialogue. Those are the players that, in my opinion, make organizations go. They're the fabric of what makes it special to be a Minnesota Viking. Are guys like DJ Wanham. DJ knows how I feel about him. I just think he's had a tremendous year. He's played his role in this new defense and really allowed us to be what we became defensively throughout the year. And I just, I'm hoping for a quick, speedy recovery, knowing he's going to attack it every single day. I think he'll be back better than ever when the time's right.
And emphasis on this new defense. And I mean, this is with, no disrespect to TJ Hawkinson, who's been dynamite, the year and change he's been here. TJ's a tight end, and offensive changes. I get it. Maybe there's more blocking or, more nuance to what he does. But I mean, DJ went from a 4-3 defensive end to a stand-up outside linebacker. And I don't know how you graded it last year, but it didn't stick out the way it did this year. And just to watch them continue to grow through massive change. Those are just things that, outside of you guys winning, that I just really, really enjoy.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge part of what makes our league so special is these players are really in control of their path. Regardless of X's and O's and all those things, sometimes it's still a matter of defensively going out and trying to do your job, impose your will on an opponent, whether you're setting the edge in the run game, you're rushing the passer on third down, you're dropping into coverage. I can think back, whether it's the Carolina, touchdown return, whether it's, a big sack to get us off the field and when we absolutely had to have it. When we have found success, guys like DJ Wanham, Josh Metellus, some of these guys defensively that maybe around the league, they don't jump out as automatic yeses as a Pro Bowl vote or an All-Pro vote, but within the walls of this organization, and when our team runs out of the locker room, we're very, very thankful to have players like DJ Wanham.
Well said. Now, the Green Bay Packers, they got a little blitz happy in that Carolina Panthers game, and the question would be, is that who they are or just a snapshot sample of that game?
I think like anything, this has become such a week-to-week league. If you go back and watch the way the Lions played the Broncos previously or their previous couple opponents, we saw variations of different defense, more emphasis on, maybe covering Justin versus doing what they had done to some other teams. And I think it's week to week. I think we know each other well. They have a good feel for, some of the core principles we like to kind of activate within our offense. Defensively, we feel like we have a good understanding of how they want to use their personnel. And ultimately, then it's just about those little chess piece moves of changing up some tendencies, doing things that, maybe look like something, but then are something totally different. And they can do the same thing on defense. And that's where we need to equip our players to have a great plan, be ready to play fast. But then ultimately, if the picture changes or it's an unscouted look, what are our rules? What have we coached up from OTAs on forward that allows us to execute in those moments? And that's what really you find out where you're at from a standpoint of your offensive system, your ability to overcome. And we have grown a lot with that PA, I know we've had some injuries. We got some new guys stepping into the huddle at some critical positions. But I do think the foundation is there, and now it's just about consistency of our execution and clearly, holding on to the football.
And for them with Jordan Love, compared to when you saw him the first time, 4 sacks on Jordan and 16 touchdowns and 3 interceptions since the Vikings played the Packers and beat them at Lambeau Field. What is getting better with his game?
I think he's just continuing with every rep to see the field, understanding the play intent, what they're trying to get done. I think the development of that skill group around him, whether it's the deep tight end group they have, the young receiving core, they went through some stretches where they didn't have a couple of those guys, and they had some young guys stepping in. They seem incredibly deep with a lot of guys that can, stretch the field, some change of direction guys. They mix in different variations to get a guy like Reed the ball on some misdirection, jet sweeps to Christian Watson. They're doing things that I'm sure if you study those 16 touchdown passes, not all 16 of them are him just dropping back and throwing the ball. It's jet sweep flips, it's screens, it's unique ways that Matt and his staff are trying to continue to allow him to grow. I think he's had a really impactful year for that team and really shows that he can handle stepping into those shoes of being a Green Bay Packer quarterback. And I think the coaching staff has done a nice job kind of packaging plays, giving him some breather snaps where statistically he's going to come out 1 for 1 for a 12-yard gain.
Yeah.
But did he flip the ball? Did he throw a screen? Did he throw a bubble screen? Did he throw a, whatever it is? They're finding those breather plays, and that's where defensively we've got to try to apply pressure, but be aware of maybe where those easy plays might come, how they like to get to them. And can we rally and tackle? To me, tackling in this game, when our defense has been at their best, scheme, all those things are great, but can we make that tackle that makes it 2nd and 8 instead of 2nd and 1? Can we make that tackle that makes it 3rd and 5 instead of a new set of downs? That'll be critical for defending not only Jordan Love, but their whole entire outfit.
Yeah, what an awesome way to analyze it, specifically in looking back at Carolina, Green Bay. All right, the Panthers, they tore up Green Bay's defense in the second half, and at the end of the game, they had 5 completions of 19 yards or more. But 2 of them took place when Green Bay basically was letting them catch it at the end, so the clock would go with no timeouts. 3 is different than 5. That's, stats is for losers, might be a little strong, but that absolutely plays into that. And speaking of stats, so Nick Mullins goes for 700 and change the last 2, and the offense absolutely getting explosive. You talked about it after the Lions game, but the picks, and maybe a guy missed to win the Lions game. So how do you balance all of that, given he started just 19 and 2 with you?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we have to look at the inventory of the plays we have at our disposal and go back through what was being coached, the emphasis on ball security. It's been a theme for our team throughout the season, trying to make sure we can not lose games before we ever give ourselves a chance to even win them.
Really, since you got here.
And really, it's just been something that Nick, throughout his career, even dating back, I don't know the exact numbers, but through his first 17 starts, whatever it was, he threw for more yards than anybody. But there were always some plays here and there where he almost has that such competitive drive that he's going to put the ball, at risk. He's going to try to extend a play and maybe fit one in a window he shouldn't. What I've talked to Nick about, and really all of our quarterbacks about, is trusting in the play intent, the rhythm and timing, what we're trying to get accomplished, clearly articulate the read, the progression, what are we doing with the football to check it down if it's not there, and then ultimately the value. As we had to learn the hard lesson, we won a football game scoring 3 points.
Right.
But what didn't we do that day? We didn't turn the football over.
Right.
And I think it's just a lesson in conjunction with the other 16 wins we've had when we're even or better on the turnover margin and never having lost a game with those circumstances. We've got to take those lessons and apply them to how we play, how we coach, how I call plays. And I think there's many times and many moments in that game where if we simply just execute the play as it was intended, trusting in our guys to win, trusting in the design to try to get maximum separation, where do we want that ball thrown? Where do we need to leave it if we're going to miss? That's playing quarterback in the NFL. And when you don't have a guy like Kirk Cousins in there who's played basically his entire career healthy, you've got some guys that are really trying to step into that that role, how do we morph ourselves to win football games? The fact of the matter, PA, is we've scored 24 points the last 2 weeks. We've been very explosive via the pass. But we haven't won the football games.
Right.
And in the end, that's what we're tasked with trying to do. We've got to continue to try to, late in the year, December improvement is what defines teams down the stretch. It's great to be playing meaningful games in December, but we've got to also improve as a football team, improve at the quarterback position with the opportunities we have, and then just go try to let it turn it loose and play smart football for 4 quarters.
Last one here, Kevin. And I picked this up because I want to read this correctly. I don't understand the line of questioning with a couple of the recent press conferences of, quote, trying to get explosive playing into the interceptions.
Yeah.
Okay, end quote. And here's what I don't understand is I don't understand the alternative. And if something is built around a strength, getting down the field with a passing game, that's the strength of this offense. As you're wheeling through quarterbacks, I would imagine you can't just jettison it. You understand what I'm saying? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I think there's core philosophies, there's beliefs. I think going into that football game, thinking about how many snaps we had really had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson on the field for this year. We want to be aggressive when we feel like maybe at times we could have been more aggressive, right, given those guys more opportunities. We've kind of learned throughout these first 32 games or so, and a huge chunk without Justin this season. We kind of know where to take the game based upon not letting our best player be taken away. It would essentially, the analogy that I gave our coaching staff is just because Michael Jordan was doubled or Kobe Bryant was doubled, it didn't mean that John Paxson always shot the ball. Yeah. It meant that sometimes we were going to try to design a play to help Michael Jordan be Michael Jordan. And
right.
I think Justin Jefferson is a miraculous player. I think he's as competitive as any player I've ever been around. In that game, these explosives that we had opportunities at on the very last play, throughout the game, the first 4th and 2, there's designs in place to try to help the quarterback just play and trust their footwork, trust their reads, put the ball in play to our playmakers, and it is amazing to watch in some of the games, even since losing Kirk, when we've done that for chunks of football games, the amount of success we can have. There is time of possession, PA. There is a responsibility to play complementary, but we wanted to score some points in that game. I have a lot of respect for Detroit and the way they can score points. We wanted to, for the sake of time of possession, risking being in 3rd and 7 plus multiple times against that team. We had a good plan for Hutchinson. He had multiple people on him throughout the game. I felt like the game plan gave us an opportunity to win. I think that the game plan we had, take away a couple of those turnovers, which are learning opportunities for all of us. That could have been a game we were in the 30s and the 40s. And, we've played a lot of close games, and we want to try to win games and not always be in 1-score games. But it is the nature of the NFL. But you're not going to run away from people by, always being conservative or always being aggressive. It's that balance of trusting in your players to go make plays, and they wouldn't be in this building if we didn't trust them.
The final home game this Sunday. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you, PA.
That's head coach Kevin O'Connell with PA, and that airs live each and every Wednesday evening during the Viking season. X's and O's with head coach Kevin O'Connell. And good news, I think the city of Plymouth actually ran a brand new fiber optic line specifically to Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth so that we can resume the Friday football feast. So when we return, I'm expecting to hear PA and Charch and Alec Lewis of The Athletic as the second hour resumes. It's a Friday feast in front of a border battle. You're listening to your home